Jehovah's Witness teachings, but the Bible itself. I had to come to ask myself, do some of these things make sense? Do they make sense when applied to what we know about science? Do they make sense when applied to what we know about general ethics and morality? And when I did those assessments, I found myself saying, no, they don't, right? The Bible contradicts itself in many places. It has a lot of wanton slaughtering and genocide, infant killing, sexism, and just unnecessary misogyny. And so I found myself not only rejecting Jehovah's Witness teachings, but Christian teachings in general. And as we discussed, with the topic of race, for me as a Black man, I had to also consider, well, why are so many Black people Christians today? And obviously it comes from slavery. It comes from colonialism. If it wasn't for those evils, I wouldn't have been participating in that form of belief. And that obviously played a big role in, my thought process now. I consider myself an atheist. I'm not too militant about it. I have no issue with people having their beliefs in deities or, any kind of special energy in the universe. I just personally believe in what can be proven and what I can tangibly see and feel to a reasonable extent.
Yeah.
And so I use that to appreciate life as I have it, right? The young people, were saying like YOLO, you only live once. And I really feel that because I don't think there's an afterlife. I don't think there's any heaven or hell or, special place that I'm going to. So I try to appreciate every day that I have. I try to appreciate every day I have my wife, every day that I have my daughter, and, learn something every day. I spent years of my life in an organization that stunted my learning and, actively worked against me gaining any information. So now I try to use every bit of time that I have to just learn a little bit more and inform myself so that when my daughter is my age, she can be an informed adult and look at the world as a better place than I left it.
Ooh, you preaching today, player. The ministerial player is preaching today. I'm with you on that. You remember that? I'm with you on that, man. Just show me the proof, and I'll go from there. I don't need to believe in anything. But I want to say this about the Bible, because I don't think we talked about it all day, is I didn't realize that so many people, even though they leave the religion, they are still attached to that Bible, And I don't know if you've seen posts, but I'll tell people all the time, you've looked at your religion. Now take that same energy, that very same energy, and start looking at your Bible. There was a gentleman, a former pastor. God, his name is slipping past me right now. But he gave this task, and he says, show me where any, not one, not two, but where any of the bodies in the Bible are buried. And at that time, I was still believing. I'm not going to lie to you. So I said, I'm going to show this dude. And I was amazed that I couldn't find a single thing,
Mm-hmm.
So I know that's a whole nother deal, but I just wanted to touch on that, man. And I agree with you thoroughly. And before I end, I want to say this to you. I appreciate you coming on because, not for lack of trying, but I've tried to find other Black men to come on this show and have some dialogue and some discussion. And for whatever reason, you were the first. And so I appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely, brother. It's interesting. A lot of people, and especially if someone's listening to this and they're white, for example, they may not understand what being Black, makes a difference here. But much of religion is cultural, right? We accept things because it was culturally and socially accepted around us. So for us as Black people, it's considered very common for as a Black person to go to a church, right? A lot of Black people grew up in the church, so much so that even like the civil rights movement, a lot of what happened with reverends taking the lead, right? Martin Luther King as the greatest example. And so many insurrections and, strategizing moments happened in churches because church is a pivotal part to the Black community.
Yes.
And while the church has done some good things, as I mentioned, Martin Luther King is one of our greatest leaders. It has also done a lot in stunting the progress of people, especially Black people in this country. And so for us as former Jehovah's Witnesses, it's good for us to realize how culture has affected us, because we thought that we were different as Jehovah's Witnesses. We weren't like those other worldly Christians, but in a sense, we still followed our culture because we believed in this Christianity.
Yes.
Another great EXJW YouTuber, EXJW critical thinker, JT, he has this great video where he talks about Jehovah's Witnesses and the Black man. And Black people in this country have been economically disadvantaged. But when you're a Jehovah's Witness man, you're able to be an elder in the congregation, and you have this, this priority and this respect that you don't get at your job, where you might be a janitor, or you might, have an entry-level position. So for many of us as Black people, we stick with the organization because it gives us a sense of pride.
Yeah.
And it's an unfortunate thing because people are being sold these false dreams. They're being told all of these lies, and they continue to accept it under the guise of their own pride, right? I'm a regular pioneer. I'm an elder in the congregation. I'm a ministerial servant. I'm being respected here. And it's unfortunate that the outside world may not respect them in that way, so they have to seek it from a religion.
You know what? I hadn't thought about that. I can see my dad, as I was going through the Rolodex in my mind, my dad operating in that way. And it's necessary, because the only time you are susceptible to this kind of religion is if something's broken inside of you somewhere along the way, something's bent. And so that is a great massager of the human spirit. My man, I don't know where we are in time, but I think we're pretty close. So I want to give you an opportunity here to promote, your social media, website, whatever you got going.
Absolutely. You can find me on YouTube. My channel is The Irregular Pioneer channel. I'll be posting some new videos soon. You can also find me on Instagram. I am at Irregular Pioneer. On Instagram, what I do is I have a meme page where it's mostly just for jokes and entertainment, but I do throw some information in there to kind of get people thinking. And going back to like what we were talking about with, waking people up, while I don't think I'm really waking anyone up on that page, I do hope that someone sees something that jogs their, causes them to think, right? It really makes them question what they've been taught. And I'm doing so by way of humor. So there are a lot of different ways to protest the Jehovah's Witnesses, and I support pretty much all of them.
Yeah.
I believe in aggressive activism, which is, part of the reason why I use Jehovah's Witness hashtags to try to draw Jehovah's Witnesses into seeing my page. But my way of doing it is with humor, and very often dark humor from the Bible. But it's all used for educational purposes. And at the end of the day, waking up from this world that we were in is rough. So it's nice to use humor to kind of break the harshness, the harsh realities that we had to face.
Absolutely. Humor is probably the best way of them all. Well, my man, to the audience, to you guys listening, I hope you guys got something from that today. And with that being said, my man, I appreciate you coming on. And hopefully I'm doing a panel. I'm trying to put together a panel interview in the future over the next couple of months. And if you're up for it, I'd love to have you on So I'll leave that with you to think about. And to my listening audience, until next week, February the 24th, keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, and your brains working. I'll see you next week.